have 30 seconds to finish writing the foiling the neg first contention.
What?
No, I didn't finish foiling the neg constructive, so I'm just trying to finish.
All right, yeah, no worries. Take some time and then go.
Wait, do I have to foil my own speech?
Yeah, you should. You don't need to flow your speech, but just write down your responses so you can write. You can draw arrows from their responses, and then you can respond to those.
Okay. Okay. I'm done foiling that.
Hey Vishnu, are you ready to give your speech?
Just give me 15 seconds.
Wait, did you start your speech and did I just not hear it?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Just making sure.
Okay. Okay, so my time starts now. First, to address our opponent's point on how the implementation of an NFU in the United States will decrease miscalculation. This is false because there is no guarantee that the United States won't launch a nuclear weapon despite an NFU. Many nuclear treaties and pacts have been broken in the past, and there's no guarantee that the United States won't break this pact. And about their second point, about the chances of escalation decreasing under an NFU. This is again false, because in fact, the nuclear first use policy would lead to escalation due to uncertainty that the United States could be secretly developing nuclear technology under the premise that they're not going to launch nuclear weapons. About their example relating to how when the United States bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and other countries started building their arsenals. Well, we have noted that although these countries have built their arsenals, none of them have launched their arsenals against us. And this is because of nuclear deterrence. And if under an NFU, these countries will no longer have the threat of being deterred due to a first strike and can start wreaking havoc. Their fourth point about reduction of proliferation, this is again false because the uncertainty can rise under an NFU. because of the uncertainty in the deal. So, in fact, again, the NFU would increase proliferation and escalation. So finally, the point about no NFU leading to extinction. Well, again, this is false because an NFU, due to uncertainty, would increase proliferation and as such, increase the chances of a nuclear war, leading to a greater chance of extinction than without one.
We're gonna take some prep. Yes.
All right, so Nicole, we're good, right? Nicole, are you on mute? I don't know if you're saying anything.
Yes, thumbs up.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so I'm just gonna start talking, and I'm probably not gonna go over like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. Okay. So the first point is that people are going to view the U.S. as weak and view them as a threat. So this is actually a turn because with U.S. hegemony, like the opponent said, it would actually cause our adversaries or allies to impose the no first use policy because they can see the logic that we don't want to escalate any more than it's already been. And even if you take this point at its value, then that means that it's actually good because less tensions, and if the U.S. is less of a threat, then there's less of a chance of nuclear war or conventional warfare. Because people are going to stop developing nuclear weapons when they realize that the main threat isn't going to actually threaten them. Now, like my partner said, many people develop nukes because of the US and the threat that they pose, but with the NFU, this wouldn't be an issue. And then, so about the points about sanctions and threats and making conventional warfare even more, that's actually not true because the US, the only thing that we have isn't just nukes. Like we could also use like tariffs, trade restrictions or whatever. And also we have a ton of ground troops that we could deploy that would pose enough of a threat to deter our opponents anyways without having nukes. Because honestly, like in either world, no nuclear war is going to happen because of mutually assured destruction. And no country wants to like bomb their own people because they realize the consequences that'll have when we impose nukes. So the question is, in which world causes conventional warfare? And it would actually be in the neg because in the pro, we have a more likely chance of actually de-escalating tensions because the US, our allies or adversaries would view the US as less of a threat. Now moving on to Vishnu's rebuttal. Okay, so he stated that we could just be developing nukes anyways, which kind of takes out their entire case because if we could be developing nukes, then that means that all their points about how the it'll escalate or there's going to be a higher chance of no first use wouldn't actually matter because we would be developing nukes anyways. So we might as well impose a new no first use and put up a good front, hopefully de-escalate some tensions and still retain our nuclear forces. And then, and yeah, great, have fun.
Second cross, yo. Second cross.
Vishnu?
And Kathy.
Okay. Do you want to start with the first question?
Give me 15 seconds. I'm finishing flowing.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, you can start.
Okay, so first, you talked about in your rebuttal how nuclear warfare is imminent and we might as well just impose an NFU. But have you considered the possibility that an NFU might actually increase proliferation and therefore increase the chances of nuclear war?
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, well, in your rebuttal, you were talking about how we could just be developing nukes anyways, even if we impose the no first use. So my point was, we can impose the no first use if you, like you stated, it's not going to have any effect on how we develop nuclear weapons. And we're actually arguing that with the no first use policy, it'll actually decrease tensions because, like you guys said in your case, people are going to view the U.S. as less of a threat, meaning that they stop developing as many nukes. While the U.S. is, like you said in your rebuttal, is still able to retain its forces.
Well, actually, about that, I just wanted to say that the reason why we're saying the U.S. is perceived as less of a threat is because it's stated in the context of these other countries actually achieving geopolitical dominance themselves and taking over land. So,
what do you mean? So you're saying that other countries are going to develop nukes and then they're just going to develop nukes anyways, even if the U.S. doesn't pose any of a threat?
No, because like the reason why they're developing nukes is so that they can take over neighboring land, and to do so, it would be most effective if they had nukes to act as deterrents. And the reason they're not doing this is because the U.S. is posing too much of a threat to them, because they can't attack U.S. allies without getting into messy deals with the U.S.
Okay, so there's not really a question there, but basically what we're saying is that the U.S. doesn't have to just use nukes to threaten people. Like we have ground troops, we can impose trade sanctions and such. And the issue with that is that other countries, they don't want to get into a nuclear war at all. And like you said, if we impose a no first use policy, that doesn't mean that we're going to stop, like just not use nukes at all, right? Like if they threaten us or nuke us, we could still use it. It's not like we're completely powerless if we use a no first use policy.
All right, I think that's time. So Ishan, let's hear you go. No prep.
Give me 30 seconds. My max at 1%.
All right.
Also, it's not necessary to flow across too, right?
Yeah, and you're not supposed to flow across unless like they concede something.
There we go. Okay, ready.
Ishan, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Hold on, can you just remind me, like, what was the tagline of your contention?
Miscalculation, decreasing.
Okay. All right, time starts. Or how much time do I have? 1:30? All right. Okay, so my opponents generally are giving you one argument in this round, and the argument is that somehow because of nuclear arms being super lethal, there's a high possibility that that miscalculation could eventually lead to some sort of devastating event that never intended to happen. Now, there's a couple reasons why this will never happen, or even if it did, it would be inevitable, so non-unique anyway. So as my partner brings up in rebuttal, the idea of miscalculation uniquely happening in nuclear warfare is just not accurate at all. In fact, my opponents consistently try to tell you that conventional warfare can be a substitute for nuclear warfare. I would argue that nuclear weapons have never, ever been used. However, conventional weapons have been used time and time again, and time and time again, they've been used in the wrong circumstances. We've joined wars for no reason, and we've used conventional weapons to do it. The reason why no first use policy is bad is because the no first use policy would take away the geopolitical dominance we have. And so now we would amplify the effects of miscalculation and the impacts of conventional warfare more and more. We've never seen, even in the most dire of circumstances, we've never seen the United States use nuclear weapons because everybody knows how dangerous they are. It's mutually assured destruction. We don't need some policy to write it out. But if we write it out and our enemies don't, then it makes us look weak and makes our allies have to do something on their own. And so we're just extending this risk, this higher risk of miscalculation and higher risk of warfare, forcing our allies to join wars that they don't want to, forcing us to join wars that we don't want to, just to show that we have the same dominance, even though we could do that without having to cost any more lives.
All right. Give me a couple seconds. Okay, I'm ready. It's basically down my case. Everyone good? Let my time start now. Judges, students, y'all, you can't vote for Ishan because he literally didn't extend anything on his case. He literally has no impact. So like, there's no reason why you should vote for him. But even if we are going to look at his case, let's look at my case and why it makes more sense than his case. So he says there's never going to be a chance of nuke war. Okay, I agree, right? Like MAD, no one wants to start a nuke war. But what happens is conventional war. So which side actually increases the chances of conventional war? And we're going to tell you that's the neg world. Because in the neg world, what happens is like we have a bunch of nukes, right? And of course, like as he said, US poses a huge threat to our adversaries. But when we take away those nukes, right? The reason why like a bunch of our adversaries are trying to develop nukes such as like Iran and North Korea is because they see the US has nukes and they're afraid that the US will use it on them first. But when the US declares a non-first use policy, they're going to see that there's no reason for them to continue to build nukes. And the reason why this is like very important is because like the more nuclear proliferation it has, the more chances that you're increasing the chance of conventional war. Because now they're like, oh, I'm so strong, I'm so cool, I have a bunch of nukes, so I'm gonna start a bunch of conventional wars. And that's why you see the chances increasing exponentially when you have a lot of like nuclear proliferation, right? So we say that when you declare a non-first use policy, you decrease like nuclear prolif. Now, what my opponents say is that no, like this would actually make us look weak, so people want to like attack us for like no reason, right? But like, sure, we say we won't use it first, but if you were to nuke us, we're gonna nuke you back. Right. So I would say, no, they're never going to start a nuclear war with us, and they would never start a conventional war with us either, because the US has the strongest conventional and like nuclear military in the world. All right. Are we going to do Grand Cross?
Yeah, sure.
15 seconds. Wait, are we supposed to float Grand Cross too?
No, it's mainly just for first speakers to stall so that you guys can have more prep time.
All right. Would you like the first question?
Sure. So you said I didn't extend anything in my
You didn't.
In my summary. So I guess let's just talk about conventional warfare then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you agree that there's no probability of nuclear warfare whatsoever. Then what's the point in passing a no first use policy?
Because then it makes our opponents not want to nuclear proliferate.
But you said that there's no chance of nuclear war whatsoever. So why does it matter if they nuclear proliferate? Why does it matter if 10,000 countries have nuclear weapons?
Then you would say, why does the US have nukes? They want to have those nukes to be able to have some sort of...
To increase geopolitical dominance. Like, that's the whole reason.
No.
Mutually assured destruction. So if I have nukes and you have nukes, then it's deterrence, right? That's why
neither side gets rid of the nuclear weapons. Your side just decreases geopolitical dominance. You just admitted. How does
your side get rid of nuclear weapons?
Neither side gets rid of nuclear weapons. That's what I said.
Yeah.
But
we're saying
you guys already conceded the only argument that you have, which is that there's miscalculation, that we could accidentally launch a nuclear weapon.
No, that's not the point of miscalc. Miscalc is about conventional warfare miscalc.
Okay, but
like as I said, right, like we basically like dropped that point, so I don't know, like
Okay, but so you guys have no basis for passing a nuclear no first use policy based on nuclear warfare, because you already conceded that there's no probability of nuclear warfare.
That you want deterrence against the U.S. because someday the U.S. might nuke you, and there's no nuke war because it's just a U.S. like exterminating your country. But
No,
if you
like,
were to build nukes,
we already
then you could
agreed
strike
that
back, right? And then that would be like deterrence.
we already
But if
agreed that the
we won't
United
nuke you
States
for no reason, then they won't want to build nukes. Like I think it's very simple.
I'd
But
say
what's the problem with building nuclear weapons? I still don't
Because we say that increases the chances of conventional warfare.
Okay, I mean that
I
doesn't
think it was
really
pretty clear
into
my
our
summary.
analysis.
I think we're over time though.
Sure, it's fine.
Is everyone ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Wait, let me get ready. Okay. So, first of all, when we look at both the aft world and the neck world, we see that the terminal impact is definitively the amount of that has been extended throughout the round is the amount of damage and destruction conventional warfare would cause, since the nuclear war point has already been conceded to not be probable and not occur. Now, although the neg states that the aft states that the neg side increases the chance of conventional warfare, the aft side increases the total damage and destruction. This is because under an NFU, other countries will have chances to develop their own arsenals and their own stockpiles, allowing them to be more prepared for an imminent war. Additionally, when we do weighing, we see that the neg case, first of all, wins on time frame, because an NFU might actually take some time to implement. It's not as though we can implement one right away. Additionally, the neg wins on probability, because under an NFU, it's more likely that other states will try to pursue their own and exploit other countries to increase their geopolitical dominance and influence. We also win on severity, because under an NFU, a lot more lives will be lost due to conventional warfare, and as such, we must avoid putting an NFU. And so thus you should vote neg.
All right, we're gonna take some prep.
right, cool. So I'm just gonna start. So it seems that both sides agree that there's not going to be any nuclear war. The opponent's point about the fact that there's going to be like invasions or anything isn't going to change. Like all countries are always going to want to invade other countries and like press their advantage or whatever. That's not going to change anything. But the war that we're talking about is like increasing conventional warfare. So if both sides agree that we're not going to have any nuclear war, then if we have a no first use policy, then that means that the other people aren't going to feel as much of a threat because they're going to have to prepare either way. Like even if there's like a 0.0% chance, 0.01% chance that the US actually tries to nuke someone else, they need to be prepared for that. So when they don't have that imminent threat going on anymore, then that means that they're going to like pull back on nuclear development. But in the neg world, when there's not a no first use policy and they are still developing these nuclear weapons, what happens is they feel like the entitlement that they have enough power to go and like attack other people and use conventional warfare, not necessarily the US, because we have like enough ground troops or whatnot to deter them without using nukes. But the thing is, in the neg world, they're still going to be developing nukes because they still feel that threat and going to use it to their advantage. But in the AF world, we stop it because they feel less of a threat from the US and they have no need to develop nuclear weapons. So at the end of the day, the neg gives you more conventional war. The end.
Wow. I must say, oh wait.
All right, cool. Good debate. So now everybody that was listening and flowing, hopefully, is going to give an RFD of who they think won and why.
Wait. Actually, I made a Google form so you guys don't have to say it out loud.
Sure.
It might be
What?
kind of hard.
Say it out loud.
I think it's fine to like say it out loud, you know.
Wait,
Does anyone feel uncomfortable with saying it out loud?
There's no hard feelings, by the way. Like, don't take it personally.
No, but it's kind of like, oh, they're like, I voted neg, and everyone's like thinking, oh, you voted neg, I'll vote neg too, right? Like, they're influencing each other. That's what I'm saying. Because obviously they're not all saying it in the same. See,
Yeah,
look,
right.
Jacqueline does a, let's go, Jacqueline. That's right. I didn't make this form for nothing.
All right. But at least after we get like the results of who voted for who, just give some reasoning or like feedback or something like that.
Vishnu, who's your sister? How do they know Ishan?
Mahati.
Oh, what? Your sister's Mahati?
Wait, why was she mad at you for picking me?
Because you suck, bro.
No, I don't have any bad. I just like. Wait, you gotta tell me, Vishnu. Was she just mad because Nicole's better? Like, I don't remember having any bad blood with her.
She said Nicole is a lot better.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god. Okay, that's obviously not true. We all have our strengths. I think Ishan's better at late debate than I am. You know? I can't pick up late judges anymore, bro. Dude, Seattle Academy is a bid tournament now.
Really?
Yeah.
What round? Finals?
Finals.
Wait, do I have to
Not
submit RFD too?
What do you say?
Do me and Kathy have to submit an RFD?
No,
Yeah, you should like, or I mean, I guess not.
I feel like it's very hard to be partial when you're
Here, Nicole and I will both give RFDs.
Miles, I put it in the chat. I just sent it right now. Can you still see it?
And we also submit our flows into the Google Classroom.
Yeah. You don't see anything in the chat. Okay, here. Go like out of the meeting. Go into like the channel. I'll post it in the channel. Yeah, sometimes that happens for me too. So just click out of like this meeting so you know it minimizes it, and then go in the general channel, and I posted it outside. Yeah, and I will just like read all the RFDs once they're all in. Yeah, and maybe me and Ishan can talk about how we felt about the round. Like, not who won, but just, like, feedback. All right, no pressure, y'all. But yes, pressure. Please get the RFDs in within the next 3 minutes. So by 4:35. So, because I don't want to be keeping y'all longer than you have to stay. Yeah, and if everyone, like whoever's done with their RFD, if you haven't yet, please join the Google Classrooms. And I'll just post that in the general channel, like outside of the meeting again, for Miles. And I'll post it inside actually. So this is where y'all will upload your flows and get some feedback maybe.
For my flows on like 2 of them, my green pencil broke, so I had to use a magenta color, but that one didn't show up very well. So is it okay, or because I said
okay. That's completely fine. Just like upload whatever you have.
Yeah, I submitted the flow.
Don't be like your handwriting looks ugly, because honestly, my handwriting is really bad. Like if you look at my flow this round, I can't even read that. how do I upload a picture? Great question. Let me show you.
You can use something like Cam Scanner to make it like a PDF.
Take a picture with like your phone and then like send it to your email maybe and then upload it. And the upload, give me one sec. Let me show you where the upload button is. Okay, so if you look at this, right, flowing check number 4, unsubmit. In here, right, you should see add or create, and then you just add a file, and then whatever picture you have, just upload it. So, and then you hit turn in, and then it should be turned in. So, just like that. All right, there's like a lot of people who still haven't submitted it. So we're gonna give you 4 more minutes and we're gonna see. There's like still, oh wait, am I doing my math wrong? It might just be my math. Oh yeah, everyone has submitted because there's competitors. Okay, so everyone has now submitted their vote. Very nice, thank you. Probably just gonna read the RFDs. So RFD number 1. Okay, without NFU, other countries feel threatened by the risk of being nuked. Oh, wait, sorry. Okay, both sides kind of agreed that the side that caused more damage from conventional warfare would lose. And AF proved that the risk of conventional warfare is increased in neg world because without NFU, other countries feel threatened by the risk of being nuked by the US first, so they will start to develop nukes. With nuclear weapons, they will feel emboldened to start conventional warfares with other countries, but in AF world with NFU, these countries will not develop nukes because they don't feel threatened by the US, therefore decreasing risk of nuclear war. Thus, F1, because they prove neg, will have more damage and lives lost because of conventional war. And then the second one is they showed that NFU has little to no negative impacts by showing how the U.S. is not powerless without an NFU, while explaining that the benefits of de-escalation. Neg stated how NFU will make the U.S. seem weaker, but Av talked about other means of power, making most of Neg's points invalid. And then I think, and then Av was more clear on weighing in the FF. Final focus, since they talked about how the AF world was a lot less of a threat, which decreased prolif. While the only response by Neg was the allies point, which I didn't hear extended. Stuff in the Neg final focus was not touched upon in the summary. All the weighing mechanisms, while AF had a clear narrative, which made it easier to vote. So it is a win for the AF. I almost said it wrong, but overall, thank you for everyone for coming to this debate. Ishan, do you have anything to say about the debate?
Yeah, I think this was definitely my fault. Sorry, Vishnu. But I think overall, both sides had good points. I think you guys are right, though, and this was something I talked about at the other practices. Like, keeping a clear narrative is like the easiest way to win. And I think the AF did that pretty well. Like, they kept their narrative, or they even adjusted their narrative, but they kept it relatively the same, that conventional war would get worse, even if nuclear war never happens. So you have to side with us. Like, it was pretty clear, and I agree with the RFD. I mean, I shouldn't, but I do. And so, yeah, like, I get it. I think narrative is really important, and yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say about that.
Right. I think the practice debate overall was kind of muddy through the entire thing, except for like cases, first rebuttal, and then like it was through very muddy until like the last two final focuses. So I think like the final focuses did a good job of clearing up the debate, and like feedback I would have is just like I think like personally I made it really confusing too, and like I think it was just a very confusing debate because it was like the first debate, But I think one of the most important things when you're like, even if you're having a flow judge, but especially when you have a lay judge, is like clearing up the debate, right? Because we all put out lots of ideas out there. Like even when we're reading only one contention on each side, it still got very confusing, right? So I think whichever side can like understand the big picture of the debate, kind of summarize it, and then explain why they're winning or explain why their argument is more important than all of their opponents. I think that's an easy path to the ballot, because like if no one explains the round, right, and like if everything just continued to be like super muddled, I think like the lay judge would probably just vote for whoever like spoke better or something. So it is important to clear things up. Honestly, if I was the judge, I don't know which way I would vote either, because it was like super messy, but make sure you're doing extensions in summary. That's all I gotta say. Okay. With that, I think that's like the end of today's lesson, but don't forget to join the Google Classroom, Kathy, Suba, and one more person, and Vishnu. Oh no, Vishnu already turned it in. Kathy, Suba, and there's definitely one more person.
How do we join the Google Classroom?
I put the link in the chat. You just have to click on the link, and then it should take you there once you hit join class.
Okay, sounds good.
And then just upload pictures of your flow.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day.